Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Lance here, and today I'm going to chat with you guys a little bit about when you're not getting fitness results, even though you're actually hitting workouts. This is something that I see more often than not, is that there are four key things pertaining to workouts that prevent people from actually getting the results that they think that they're working for. So now there are a couple other reasons that people won't get results if they are working out. Most of those have to do with nutrition, self-sabotage, mindset. But today, there are four key things that I will hear, or let's say it this way, there are four things that I will notice that are not being done consistently by people who are working out consistently, but yet not seeing the results that they think they should have. So, for example, you might be consistently hitting 3, 4, 5 workouts a week, and maybe in the beginning, you were seeing some changes and then it just kind of stopped. Now, you might be tempted to call that a plateau. You might be wondering if something's not working right or if you need to change something up. But what I want to do is give you these four things in order to help you to make sure that every workout you're delivering all of these things to make sure that you're getting the results and not just expending the time. So the very first one, as you see in the title here, we're going to actually go negative in order to reach better results, okay? So now that might seem very foreign that we're going to be negative to reach results. Everybody talks about being positive, but this is a play on words because we're actually talking about negative time under tension. And so in this aspect here, what I see more often than anything is when people are utilizing too much momentum in their workouts. And what that means is when they're doing a squat or doing a curl or a push-up or a bench press, pick anything, there's a lot of momentum that's happening. So it might look like on a bench press where somebody is, they've got the resistance here and they're exploding up and it's kind of bouncing down, exploding up and bouncing down. There's not a lot of control. One thing that you need to understand is that momentum is an outside force outside of your muscle. And so what that means is that if I'm trying to work out my chest, my pectoral, and I'm using shoulders, triceps, and all this in my back to use bad form and just, push it up, my chest might be utilized a little bit, but I'm really taking momentum from the other muscle groups in order to help myself get this lift done. So I'm not really putting enough tension on the muscle that we're talking about here, in this case, the pectoral. So stay with me here. The thing is that what I want to do is give you one technique, which is called using negatives, in order to double your progress in the gym. Now, again, don't do this every single time that you're in the gym, but this is something, I'm going to give you a couple different things so you can use a couple different variations. So time under tension, we know I'm only going to talk about just tempo. Within the tempo of time under tension, we have concentric or positive. That's the part of the bench press where you're pushing upwards. That's concentric or positive. Then we have static or stasis. This is where I'm holding it, not necessarily on my chest, but I'm holding it halfway. This is what's known as stasis or static activity. So where I'm just holding it. Or this is like in school, whenever you didn't do pull-ups, but maybe you did the holding chin up. That is an example of static or stasis being activated within the muscle. Now, the one that is most often underlooked is actually the negative. The negative, or the eccentric, is going to be the portion of the phase of, let's say, a curl, where you're controlling the resistance going downwards. Rather than letting it jerk you down, you're controlling it. That's the negative, okay? So we have negative, positive, and static. The positive, people are usually swinging that thing up, but we're going to talk about that one on another day. We're going to today talk about the negative, and this here is where what I want you to do is, if you've never focused on going negative, controlling the weight going down, whether on a squat, a bench press, what have you, I want you to actually just start by just tracking and going just one full second. So it would look like this, 1 Mississippi, and then all the way down, okay? That's where everybody should be, is 1 Mississippi on the negative. If you're doing that and you're not getting good results, or you're not getting results, especially if there's a lagging muscle group, let's say your biceps, your pecs, your quads, what have you, this is the area to use this, so go negative. So the very first thing is, if you've never done this, I want you to start with just 2 seconds. So it's going to be 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, all the way down, okay? 2 seconds, it's a long time. If you're up for more of the challenge, what we want to do is either do 4 seconds, which that's a lot, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, all the way down. I've sped it up. Or you can eventually get to the long negative, which is 8 seconds. Now, again, most of you guys don't start there, but if you've had a long lifting career that you've done a lot of exercise and you're not really seeing the results you used to, hey, feel free to go for the 8 seconds, but start with the 4 seconds first. So going negative, though, what's happening is we're allowing for greater muscle fiber recruitment. And what we're doing here is, instead of using momentum, we're controlling the resistance, allowing for more muscle fibers to jump in and go, wait, you need help, I'll help you. The more muscle fibers we can recruit to the cause, the more microscopic tears we're going to have, number one, more muscle tears. And then when we build up with protein, so on and so forth, we're going to have a bigger muscle. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be puffy. If you're a female watching this, it doesn't mean you're going to be puffy. What that means is that the muscle size is going to be a little bit thicker. If your body fat is still low, your arms are not going to look puffy whatsoever. So, but I'll digress there. Okay, so going negative is the first one. This is negative time under tension. Number two, that I see more often than anything. So first one that people don't do, they use too much momentum and they don't use negative time under tension or much time under tension for their tempo. Number two that I see is that people tend to chop off the range of motion, so they're not using full range of motion. That is a huge thing. So we want to make sure that you're not cheating with momentum, but we're also not shortening your range of motion. Otherwise, you're going to shorten your results. The muscles are designed to, again, move the bone tissue, or move the tissue to allow the bone, because the bone's attached to that, blah, blah, blah. And it allows you to actually move said, forearm or what have you. When we're shortening the range of motion, for example, we're not going all the way down to fully engage the biceps. We're chopping off a whole lot of range of motion with tension, like we just talked about, that the muscle's not being activated. So what's happening is that you're perhaps you might be not contracting all the way, or you're not actually squeezing or focusing on the actual, I would say the tension of the muscle contraction. So in full range of motion, make sure that you're not cheating. First of all, you need to understand what is full range of motion. How are the biceps activated, and then where should I go? Because what I see a lot of times is that people are letting the biceps go way behind them whenever they're not meaning to, or they're curling up, and then the elbows are coming up really high like this, and we're putting more emphasis on the shoulder here instead of the bicep. When this happens, we have cheated the range of motion on the biceps, so the biceps are getting much less actual load, and now we've transferred it to the shoulders. So what happens is people start noticing, yeah, when I do bicep curls, my shoulders hurt, or bench press, my shoulders hurt, or anything, my shoulders hurt. What's happening is the shoulders here are taking the brunt of everything on your bench press, on your rows, or in your curls, what have you. And this is where we need to get a better understanding of what full range of motion is, so that we can understand, wait a second, full range of motion is to here, not to here. And that's going to prevent you from recruiting other muscles that should not be helping out in that aspect. What does this mean for you? Well, more tension on that muscle means, again, the same thing as rule number one. It's going to recruit more muscle fibers and thusly help for increasing strength, definitely burning more calories, and then therefore, again, more muscle that we have on means that our metabolism is actually faster too. So there are multiple benefits, but number three, we're going to go to, this one's really going to help as well. A lot of times people are taking severely long rest between their sets. Now again, rest are not evil. It's just simply the fact that there are people who will use rest, or the time at which you're resting, and they're using more of a prescription of somebody who is a power lifter that needs 2 to 5 minute rest between sets, rather than somebody who's trying to keep themselves in shape that may only need 20 to 30 seconds rest between. So this is a huge one. If you're taking lengthy rest, I would say that if your cardio conditioning is decent, at the maximum you should be taking in is 45 seconds, unless you're doing a heavy deadlift or squat or something to that effect, which again is more closely related to a powerlifting movement or Olympic style movement. But for those of us who are not trying to break records on deadlift and so on and so forth, for me, I take 20 to 30 seconds rest between my sets. And A lot of times I do what's called interval style, in which case when I'm supposed to take a rest for the biceps, I'm immediately jumping in and doing something triceps. So I'm resting the biceps, but my body as a whole is still working. So this is a key thing here, combining movements so that you're taking less rest, but still resting the muscle. This is going to cause for a greater amount of calorie burn, and again, a greater amount of tension on the biceps or the triceps, whatever you're working. All right, guys, last one. I hope these are helping you. Number 4 is use the rule of intention to activate the muscles before you actually start movement of the actual exercise that's occurring. What I mean by that is if you are doing a row, no, let's just say a curl because it's easier. You can see my arms right here. Okay, so if I'm doing a curl, what happens most of the time is I will see people just start doing one of these things. And I literally see this. Guys, this is from the side. This is all my range of motion here. That is not range of motion at all. This is a lot of shoulder, a lot of back motion, etc. What we do want to do is actually engage the muscle that's being worked. So in this case, the biceps, we actually, for here, this is rest, and a lot of times I see this where people are resting. What you want to do is actually engage. So you can see my arms begin to flex. So this is how most people do it. This is how I want you to do it. You're flexed, okay? So you flex your biceps, and then you start curling. You don't just start curling randomly because you're going to end up using your forearms, your back, so on and so forth. So the rule here is, the rule of intention is to flex or activate the muscle that you're focusing on before the weight starts moving. So before you curl, you're going to activate the biceps. Before you do dips for triceps, you're going to activate the triceps. So the triceps, I activate them. Now I'm doing dips. What I don't want to do is just dips like this, okay? You're still activating the muscle if you're not activating it first, but when you activate it, like again, a chest press of any kind, so doing like a regular bench press, let's just say a machine. I hate doing barbell bench press, by the way. So on a machine that I would use because it gets better angles and allows for greater dimension, I'm going to flex my pecs, my pectoral major and minor the best I can before moving the weight. So before this happens, this has to happen. I flex, it's engaged, so that when I'm actually moving the load, I'm focusing on this muscle moving first and moving last. And that's going to reduce the level of deltoids that I'm using and so on and so forth. So guys, I really hope that you see how powerful these are. These are 4 things that I've literally taken people who were in the gym, told them to fix these 4 things, but gave them specifics how, and watch their bodies change in 90 days like you cannot even imagine. These are not generic sort of, oh, try this, slow down your workouts, do this. No, if you will follow this, and you will learn how to do negatives and time under tension the right way and how to remove outside momentum, which is an outside force, if you'll learn your full range of motion and how to contract the muscle before you're actually engaging the lift, I can promise you, you will start seeing a greater amount of fat loss and a greater amount of muscle and strength being built than you've seen in years. I can promise you that. My question for you is, do you have a plan? Do you have a plan that actually executes these things and helps you to stay out of your own way so that you can follow the system to get the results that you want? If not, comment below or shoot me a DM. Let's chat a little bit about what your struggles are, a little bit more about some of your goals, and let's see if and how I can help you. Now, one cool thing that I do want to let people know is that when you schedule a strategy call with me, you're not actually going to be talked into purchasing the program. What I actually am looking to do is, first of all, see if you're even a fit for the program and find out what your goals and your struggles are. But Lauren and I, we actually don't even allow people to get signed up on our program over the phone because we know that people are too likely to get excited and to jump into something before they really understand what it is. So we actually give people a full 2 days, and after the phone call, we email everything so that you'll be able to look over what is actually in the program. So no more pressure sales type stuff that people hate. In fact, with us, we want you to look over everything, take time. We give everybody a full 2 days to look over everything and make sure this is a fit. The reason why we do 2 days is because what we found is that once we go over all this stuff and we learn that somebody's really serious, if they're not sure that it's a fit after 2 days, it usually means that there's reservations and we want that person to wait. So with that being said, if that's you, if you're watching this going, man, those, I would love to know how to implement those 4 things, or maybe you're watching and going, hey, those are great, but it still doesn't fix my nutrition, or hey, I've been told what to do and somehow I keep on messing this stuff up. I don't know if it's too rigid or why I can't stick with it, but I need help. If that's you, send me a DM, let's chat. No pressure, no sales, nothing like that. Just the ability to learn a little bit and to get some paradigm shifts that'll help you move the needle on your fitness journey. So I hope that this has been beneficial. If you feel like this has been beneficial, that it's been of any value whatsoever, be sure to comment #value in the comments below. Lastly, guys, let me know where you're watching from as well. We've got people watching all over the world, so I'd like to know where you're watching, and let me know if you have any questions. So thanks so much, and I will see you guys on the next one.